Welcome everyone to the 11th round of the GP4 Offline Championship 2015 season. We're here for the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungarian, the 10th Hungarian Grand Prix in the OC history. The track is nicknamed Monaco without the barriers, and a fun fact about this race, every single Hungarian Grand Prix had a different winner, which is quite unusual, I have to say. But I'm your host for today, George Roke, and welcome to round 11 of the season. We are now past the halfway point of the season. And now with the driver's sign-ups now closed, it's going to be very interesting over the next 9 or so weeks to see which drivers are going to be where for the 2016 season. So there's going to be 70 laps, the lap record set by Florian Volker back in 2009, proving how quick those cars were. The tyres we'll be using will be the hard tyres for this race, and there is a joint driver of the day, Will and Ricciardo, the last race at Silverstone. So anyway, here for Silverstone, for Germany I should say. And Florian Volker will take pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix with Jay McKenzie alongside him in second. On the second row is Romain Quag and Will Nella. On the third row is Vedran Vedrina and Robert Ionescu for Force India Red Bull. Good qualified by Vedran Vedrina, I have to say. In 10th position is Armand Carr for Williams, followed by Michael Osgow in 8th. 9th position is Joseph Willis, followed by Rick Yan in 10th. On the 6th row of the grid is Robert Hunter and David Greenwood for Toro Rosso and Lotus. In 13th position is Roberto Gamba for Sauber with Matthias Terwig 14th for Marussia. 15th place is Oliver Glazebrook, followed by Franco Gamba in 16th. 17th place is Etienne Jones, followed by Evan Byrne for Sauber. 19th place is Bartis Kloss and George Roke, another pole qualifying by him in 20th. And on the last row of the grid we have Kirosima de Rosa and Franco Lopez for McLaren. So there we go, that is the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. And now let's take a look at the weather. And actually, I should say here is some of the OC news you can see on your screen. These are the confirmed changes for next season, but obviously these are not the driver changes. These are to do with engines. Return taking over Lotus for next year. Haas will have up-to-date Ferrari engines. Manor Marussia will be named to Manor Racing. Manor will switch to Mercedes. Red Bull will rebadge their Renault engines to Tag Heuer. Toro Rosso will switch to the year-old Ferrari engines. So that is the news for this week, and next week will be the official driver news. Anyway, the weather for this race, it will be a sunny race here at the Hungarian, a 0% chance of rain. So yeah, let's do this. So I'm very much looking forward to this race as we're now on the grid. Florian Volker on pole position. Will he get the jump into the first corner? It is a long run down to turn 1. So it'll be very interesting to see if he does get the jump into the first corner, as the 5 lights are now on. And the 5 lights are out, and away we go. And who's going to get the jump into the first corner? It looks like Volker has made the best start. McKenzie just about hanging alongside of him, but the Williams there, Roman Quag making an even better one, just coming through on the inside of Volker. Getting into the first corner, and then there's contact! And Volker has been hit, and Florian Volker is out of the race. He was hit by someone into the first turn, I'm not sure by who, but he is out of the Hungarian Grand Prix on the first corner. But I think it was a Force India by the look of it. I think from what I saw that hit Volker. We need to see a replay of that. But Florian Volker is out of the race on the first lap. So Romain Quag takes the lead. Ionescu is up to second place. McKenzie's down to third. So what a great start by Ionescu. So what on earth has happened here on the first lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix? Well, on the first corner, I should say, of this Grand Prix. But my goodness, Vedran Vedrina, I think it looks to be Vedran Vedrina. He seems to be dropping down the order. He's dropping down, so I think it must have been him, and it looks like it was. Here is the replay on board from Vedrina's point of view. So he was on the inside, he got past both Mercedes, he thought great, but then he just went way too deep into the first corner and then took out Florian Volker. So that must be great news for Will Nella. We're looking on board from Volker's point of view, but what a start Romain Quag had, coming all the way through there and just saw the gap and took it, and then fortunately had to get out of the way before Volker got pile-drived by Vedrina into turn 1. Unfortunately for Quag, he's got a clear track ahead of him. So we're looking on board actually and the mid-pack. So what happened with him? Well, he loses his front wing and goes into the back of the McLaren there of, I think that was Oliver Glazebrook. And not good there from Jones. He's kind of cost himself a big chance there. And he's been hit again by the Toro Rosso there. And we're looking on board with Will Nella, who's trying to get past Prix, who's lost his front and rear wing coming through the corner there. Nella trying desperately to get through, and now Nella has hit the back of Vedrina. And Nella, well, he would have taken advantage before, but now he's going to have to do it from the back as he hits the back of the mirror, so he's going to have to go into the pits. We're looking at Joseph Willows into the first corner. Look at that. And actually, he actually hit the back of Vadrina there, but somehow didn't get any damage and somehow got away with it. And Ionescu then made contact with the back of Willows there. It's all happening here on the first corner, so I don't know how they didn't. Neither Willows or Ionescu got damage from that, but they were very lucky to get away with that. Oh, and actually no, I think Willows did get damaged. I thought he got away with it, but Ionescu passes him easily on the straight there. So we're looking on board with Will Neller coming into the chicane. He's got several cars, and Will Neller's been hit. Will Neller has been hit, and Will Neller is out of the race. He gets hit by Franco Lopez, and he is out of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And here we are looking on board with Mackenzie, trying to get past Robert Ionescu, and Ionescu goes wide, and Mackenzie takes second place, but Roman Quag is so far clear up front, he's avoided all the chaos. Ionescu goes wide then and allows Mackenzie to go through E2. Wow, that was an unbelievable first lap. But Greenwood is up to 6th, Galsen Byrne is up to 8th, he's made a fantastic start. Hunter's up to 9th, Roberto Gamma's in 10th, Franco Gamma being overtaken by Oliver Glazebrook into turn 1, with Rotner close behind him, but his Kloss trying to get past the other McLaren into the first corner. As we look at Quag, who's so far clear of Jay McKenzie at the moment. Ricciardo is actually closing onto the back of Ionescu right now. So we don't actually know about the fuel loads yet, because there's been so much chaos has happened on the first lap. So we need to wait and see what the fuel loads are like. But Ionescu currently falling into Ricciardo's trap. He's got several cars behind him, so he thinks that Ionescu might be on a heavy fuel load here. We're looking at Ricciardo coming through the Monaco without Walls. This track is called. That's the nickname of this track. It's not that easy to overtake, but turn 1 is one of the most is a part where you can overtake. And Ionescu has gone wide, and that's allowed Jan to go through very easily. Now Ionescu has got a car behind him, and has got, I think, David Greenwood as well. Ionescu just went way too deep once again to the corner. Did exactly the same thing as he did on the first lap, and that allowed Ricciardo to go through very easily indeed. And so, as Roman Quag actually sets the fastest lap of the race, showing his dominance up front, but Ionescu is going to be mugged here if he's not careful. He's got Amar Carr right behind him, he's got Greenwood, and he's got his teammate Gal behind him as well. The car is on the inside of Ionescu in the first corner, and he does make it stick. Oh, there's contact! And Greenwood made contact with the back of Ionescu there, and he's made it through, and that can allow Gal through as well. Greenwood and Ionescu have had contact in the past, and they made contact once again. And I think Ionescu just came in front of Greenwood there. Greenwood didn't really do much about that, but Ionescu gets bumped out of the way, and Greenwood makes it up into P5. Great race by David Greenwood. He's had a great season so far. He's had it so much better off than George Roque. It's unbelievable. He's performed so much better than him throughout the entire season. Now here is the battle for P6. Now Ionescu under pressure from Gal, and Evan Byrne is not too far behind either. As Gal is now on the inside of Ionescu for P6. And he makes it into the first corner very easily, although Gal does go a little bit deep. He makes it nonetheless, but now Ionescu is going to be under pressure from Evan Byrne behind, who's been he was way down the field, but he's managed to gain throughout all that chaos on the first lap. And he's got through, and Ionescu really struggling here. Doesn't seem to have any pace whatsoever in that car. Now Evan Byrne actually has got Robert Hunter not too far behind him, as he got held up by Ionescu through the corner there, as we're looking on board from Oliver Glazebrook, who is trying to make a move onto the back of Roberto Gamma, and actually Gamma goes very wide, and Glazebrook does take the place. And it looks like Glazebrook, I think, got it straight back just a few corners later. As no, it isn't. This is actually George Roque making a move on Roberto Gamma into the first corner, makes it up into P11. So Roque's gained 9 places from the start from all that chaos. So he moves up into 11th position. So Roberto Gamma now drops down to 12th. Roberto Gamma, I think, is now the only driver so far who is yet to score a point in the OC. So it's been an unfortunate season for him. He's got a yellow flag out somewhere. There is a car off, and who is it? There's a yellow flag out, and I think it looks to be Franco Gamba who is involved. He's running down the 16th, and yep, goes way too wide on the Astra and spins there, and manages to rejoin quite quickly. But his poor season yet again continues. It'll be interesting to see if he's one of the drivers that does keep his seat or not, because there's been rumours about whether he will or not. But anyway, we're looking at Bartius Kloss going past Franco Gamba's cousin Roberto into the first corner. And is Kloss going to make it on the inside? And yes, he does. Roberto Gamba sadly falling away down the field, and Kloss gets past him. And now his teammate De Rossa for company. De Rossa desperately trying to get down the inside. Can't quite make it stick there. as Gamba really defended vigorously into the corner, but Quark is so far clear up front at the moment. Rick Jan's in third, but he's got Carr pressuring him from behind, and he's also got David Greenwood, who's not too far away from him, so we could have a nice battle for P3 here. So it looks to be a battle between, I guess, probably Mackenzie and Quark for the win here. We're looking at the battle for the podium here. Rick Jan in third, Carr in fourth, David Greenwood in fifth, and with I think in sixth, I'm not sure, but anyway, we're looking at these three coming through the penultimate corner. As actually Roman Quark sets another fastest lap out front, a 121.3 to come through the final corner onto the back straight, and they've got obviously the Red Bull Milos Gal not that far away in the distance, who could easily close up if these guys squabble all over each other. As Quark's got a 5.8 second lead over Mackenzie's second. Jan about 5 seconds away in third. We're looking at Evan Byrne pressuring Robert Ionescu into the first corner, and he does make it stick, although he goes a little bit deep. At the first corner, he's been hit. Ionescu's been hit from behind by the McLaren there. I believe that was Oliver Glazebrook, and those two are out of the race. Glazebrook is out, and so is Ionescu. Oh dear me, Ionescu, it didn't look like he was going to get too much this race. He was falling back rapidly down the field, but Evan Byrne had just made the move on Ionescu into the first corner. Ionescu had backed off quite severely. Unfortunately, I think Glazebrook must have got caught out for that. I think he was battling behind as well, so we need to see a replay of that as well. But Glazebrook is out, and so is Ionescu, so quite a dramatic start we've had to the Hungarian Grand Prix. And let's have a look. So Ionescu was right behind the Toro Rosso of Robert Hunter, heading towards the first corner, and he had just about made the move, but Ionescu, as you can see, had braked quite severely into the corner. Byrne had overtaken him. I don't think Glazebrook was definitely expecting that, so that unfortunately he got caught up in that. But the incident between those two will be under investigation. And Girossa, as you can see, is on the inside and has passed Roberto Gamba under yellow flag. So I think he is going to get a penalty for that. And yes, he does. He receives a 5-second penalty for overtaking Roberto Gamba under yellow flag conditions there. But wow, so Ionescu and Glazebrook out of this race. As we're looking at Robert Hunter now under pressure from George Roke from behind in ninth, who's made a good recovery after starting down in P20. He made a good recovery at the British Grand Prix, where he started in last and came ninth. Probably his best performance of the season, really, in a season which has not been very good for him at all. But Roke was lucky he didn't actually overtake Hunter in the first corner there, because the yellow flags were still out, so he would have got a 5-second penalty as well. Doing it right now, running in 17th, which I believe is in last position, actually. Willows, who is, as you can see here, overtaking Frank Gammon. They're getting very close there, but he does make it stick nonetheless. And Willows moves up into P15. Still got a long way to go to get into the points, but I think he could probably easily do it. We're looking at Roke right behind Hunter, with Lopez not too far away in the behind him, as Hunter really defends into the first corner. Roke on the inside. They very nearly make contact, but Roke does make the move stick into P8. A good move there by the British driver ahead of his fellow Brit Hunter, but now he's going to be under pressure from Lopez in the McLaren behind, as we can see, coming onto the back straight, and already Lopez is right behind Hunter, who doesn't really seem to have the pace. Lopez now on the inside. Hunter doesn't really defend, and Lopez, does he make the move stick? He's on the inside, and I think he's done it, yes, although Hunter actually might be holding it round the inside. Lopez tries to move over on him a bit, but Lopez does make the move stick, and butts Kloss really goes into the back of Hunter there. And Kloss trying to get his second point finish of the season after taking his first points finish of the season, finishing in 10th position in Germany. As we're looking at David Greenwood coming through in P5, still behind Carr, who still hasn't actually made the move on Rick Jan yet. Can't seemingly get close enough right now. It seems Greenwood is actually getting closer to Carr than Carr is to Jan at the moment. And well, he might be getting a little bit closer now. Greenwood's on the inside. Carr's one very wide, coming through the penultimate corner. He hasn't quite made the move stick yet. He forcefully defends Greenwood there, but Carr, in a very uncharacteristic error there, goes very wide, coming into the bottom corner, and almost allows Greenwood to take advantage of that, but he just about holds him off. He locked up there, and Greenwood almost took advantage. And he had actually just about got his nose in front, but he just didn't have the power coming off the corner, and there was so nearly contact as Carr. Whoa, my goodness, he moved over twice there on Greenwood. That could have been very, very ugly indeed. but he does just about keep the position. Here's the battle for P10. This is between Hunter and Kloss. Kloss got in the slipstream behind Hunter. He's going to surely make a move into the first corner. He's on the inside. Does Hunter defend? No, he doesn't. The Kloss is on the inside, and he does now make the move stick past Hunter for P10. Now Hunter's going to be under pressure soon from Kloss's teammate De Rossa as they come through the left-hander into turn 3. Now we're looking at Carr, who's finally seemingly caught up to the back of Rick Jan. He's been stuck behind him for the last, I think, 10 laps or so, but Carr now right behind Jan as they're heading towards the first corner. Jan really pushing him over, not allowing him to get through, but Carr's already on the inside. Jan's gone very wide, and Carr's got the move done. Greenwood doesn't quite move. Jan only loses one position there, but it looked like he could have lost 2 there, but he just about got away with it, so I guess he's quite lucky they didn't lose 2 positions into 1 there. But fortunately, Jan does just about keep P4, but now he's going to be under pressure from David Greenwood, but also from Nicholas Gal, who's caught up to these two because they have been squabbling about with each other. And here is Joseph Williams really making a recovery. He's now right behind the Haas of De Rossa, who's really defending from Willis into the first corner, but Willis does make the move stick and moves up into P11. He's now 1 place off the points. Well, actually 2 technically, yeah, I should say. He's got to get past Hunter. He's got to get past Barty's Kloss. For P10, he's a bit further up the field. As we're looking at the battle for P4, here's Greenwood, and there's Gals in the background in case these two do fall over each other, as Belgium is in the pits, and so is actually Romain Quag, who's in the pits as well for Williams. And Oliver Glazebrook has received a 10-place grid penalty for the incident with Robert Ionescu, so I guess that's probably a fair punishment, I guess. I mean, he did try to make a move on Hunter in the first corner, braked a bit too late, and then went into the side of him, so I guess he can't really argue too much with that, I guess. As Quag comes out of the pits. And let's see where he comes back out onto the track. So, not that much fuel's been put in, so it looks like Williams are going for a 3-stop here. As Quag comes out onto the track in P6. But crucially, he does come out in clear air, so that's something which you will definitely need. Obviously, the battle for P3 now, as David Green actually has managed to get past Rick Jan into the first corner, and he's on the inside, as you can see, and makes it very easy. Rick Jan didn't really put up that much of a fight, actually, so made it a lot easier for him. As George Rope comes in for his first pit stop of the race for Lotus. 21 laps of fuel, so a little bit more than they put into Quag, so I guess that's probably a 2-stop. I'm not sure, actually. Might be tight here. They might do a long last stint for Roke. I'm not sure, but he comes out of the pits anyway. 10.4 second stop that was. As we're looking at Nicholas Gal right behind the Force India, I should say, of Rick Yan. I couldn't even get words out there. As David Greenwood comes into the pits for Lotus for his first pit stop of the race. And Rick Yan has gone way wide into the final corner, and that has gifted Nicholas Gal the position there. As we're looking to see, Rick Yan just got way too wide, went on the AstroTurf, or went on the runoff, I should say, and went off and almost lost it. Managed to just about get away with it. As we're looking at Barty's Kloss, he's running in P9, and oh no, Barty's Kloss has got a puncture, and Barty's Kloss has got a puncture, and he's slowing down. He's going to pull off to the side of the track. Very unlucky for Barty's Kloss. He had such a good race. He was actually having a very encouraging race just inside of the point. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be getting nothing from this race. As we look at those recovering more positions, once again, he's on the inside of Hunter. He does just make the move stick into the first corner and makes it up into, I believe now, the points, I think that was. That we're looking at David Greenwood running in 8th position after his stop. But I believe Willows now is in the points with that. And yep, he's into 9th now, obviously with Kloss retiring in this race. Very unlucky for Kloss as well. He was having a very good race. As we're looking at Etienne Jones, who is lapped, as there's Benjamin who's already been lapped by Mackenzie right now, who is currently leading this race and is obviously on a heavier fuel load than Romain Quag is. We're looking at Rope right now running in P13 after his stop. We've been 19 laps of this race, and it's been quite dramatic, I would say. We're looking at Rope, who I think this is coming into towards the chicane. Here's our car right now running in P2 for Williams, chasing the Force India of Belgium Madrina, who's set to lap in front of him. Right now it's McKenzie in first, Carr in second, Gall in third, Ricciardo in fourth, Quag in fifth, sixth is Burns, seventh is Lopez, eighth is Greenwood, ninth is Willows, and Hunter current top 10 will obviously for all of these drivers to actually finish their first stop. As now Roke's making a move on the inside of Roberto Gamba. Gamba goes wide, and that allows Roke to get through as Gamba rejoins. A whole lot worse there, but Gamba fortunately doesn't hit, rejoin and hit towards Roke there coming through the exit corner. Unfortunately, they get away without contact, but probably a move there by Roke probably would have wanted it to have been cleaner, but he made it work nonetheless. As we're looking at Franco Lopez coming onto the back straight, he's under pressure from the Lotus of David Greenwood, who's right behind him. He's on the inside heading towards turn 1. Does Lopez bother to defend? Not really, because Greenwood is on the fresher tyres, and he makes the move stick into the first corner. Does he? Yep. That makes it up to, I think that was P7. Now he's after the Sauber with Evan Byrne in front of him as they're coming through turn 3. And now here is Greenwood on the back with Evan Byrne coming onto front straight 4P6. He's alongside him as Joseph Williams actually sets the fastest lap of the race. And he's running right now in P9, so he really does have some pace in that Ferrari. Just imagine he hadn't got caught up on the first lap with all that chaos. He could easily, I think, have been in the fight for the win here if he has that kind of pace. You look at Armakar, who does finally come into the pits for his first stop of the race. And let's see where he comes out onto the track. Let's see where he comes out. Gall is actually in the pits as well for Red Bull. And he is actually 35 minutes of fuel. No, he's not going to the end. I thought he was then, but he's not going to the end. But he's going to be going on a very long stint here. So that's very interesting from Red Bull, to say the least. So it'll be interesting to see if that does work for him or not. Greenwood comes out ahead of Carr. I believe Carr was ahead before the stop. But I think Greenwood has actually jumped Carr, as now crucially does come out in front of Willows, Lopez and Byrne here, who are battling. So that's exactly what Gal will have needed. As we're looking, Robert Hunter, who is making his way into the pits for Toro Rosso for, I believe this is his first pit stop of the race, I think. And let's see where he comes back out onto the track. 35 minutes of fuel, so he's doing the similar strategy to what Miklos Gal was doing, it seems. 12.9 second stops, so that's fairly slow, I think. Let's see where he comes out onto the track. And out of the pits he comes, as there's De Rossi in 12th. Rick Yan now does come into the pits for Force India. Hasn't had the worst stint, but it could have been better had he maybe not made that mistake when Gal was pressuring him. Obviously went wide at the final corner. There's actually quite a few that seemingly are coming into the pits on this lap as well, as Rick Yan is pitting, and he has put 28 laps of fuel, so a bit less than what Gal and stuff has put in. So I think he'll be doing the 2-stop, but he'll be pitting a little bit earlier than Gal is. So I'm interested to see actually how Gal and Hunter's strategies work, because they're going quite long on this stint. I mean, Yan is as well, to be fair, but not as long as those guys are. But Yan does come out of the pits, and he does actually come up behind Miklos Gal. So for possibly the podium, I would guess, as we're looking at Joseph Willows in the pits along with Franco Lopez as well. And Willows comes out of the pits and comes out, I think, ahead of Evan Byrne there. So he jumps Evan Byrne in the pits there, and he hasn't quite jumped Lopez, but he has crucially jumped Evan Byrne in the pits. So that's big news for Willows, who is rapidly gaining up the order. And I mean, just imagine instead if Willows didn't have that incident on the first lap, it could have been a whole lot different for the British drivers. We're looking at Franco Gamba right now, running down the orders. We're looking at Mackenzie right now in the lead. I don't think he's actually pitted yet. And 18.4, is he pitted? I can't honestly remember if he has or not. And there's a car off, and that is George Roke, who is off the track. And that is Roke's race done. He was having a relatively good race. Unfortunately, he said, I think that's a transmission failure, and that is Roke's race done and dusted. Unfortunately there for Roke, who unfortunately just cannot catch a break this season. His car is still just about on the curb, nearly on the racing line there, coming through turn 4. But that is Roke's race, unfortunately finished, and his terrible season does in fact continue, as his car is actually now just about on the racing line there onto the track. But that is Roke's race. I think he was running about just inside the points, I think he was. And he was a fair few laps until his second stop. And whether or not he's going to go to the end, I'm not sure. But anyway, as Roke is now, as unfortunately, out of the race with, as I said, a transmission problem. And that's unfortunately the end of his race. So we'll have to see if he can see if he can have a better race next time out. But unfortunately, his seat is certainly on the line for next season, because unfortunately, he's not performed as well as his teammate David Greenwood has. And it's fair to say that Greenwood has certainly outperformed in the season, that is for sure. As we're looking at Bulwark Roke, he was running in P10 just in the last points position, and there was the transmission failure that took control of his car and forced him to retire from this race. Unfortunate failure for George Roke, but he'll need to hope that he can actually perform in the next few races and actually get some points, and hope the car doesn't in fact break down on him. As we're looking at Kirosima De Rosso, who's attacking the Toro Rosso Robert Hunter here into the first corner, and he looks set to make it stick. He's on the inside, and he does make the move stick into turn 1. Good move there by the Haas driver. As we're looking at Joseph Willis, who's attacking Franco Lopez into the first corner, and he does make the move stick and moves up into, I think that is 7th position. Good recovery here by Willis, who really is showing some good pace in that Ferrari as he comes through into turn 3. We're looking at Mackenzie right now, who's got a lead over Krog. I don't also remember if he's pitted or not. I'm not entirely sure. My memory, unfortunately, is failing me at the moment, as De Rossa goes wide into the final corner, and he rejoins on track and doesn't and he goes past him there. But De Rossa making a silly mistake, probably maybe being told by the crew that he was behind him. Maybe he panicked, I don't know. But regardless, he went wide into the final corner, and McKenzie went wide pretty easily. So De Rossa's still in 10th position. He's still in that last point spot, as Roman Krog does indeed come in for his second stop of the race. So I'd love to see actually if he does go to the end. I'm surprised actually he didn't go for maybe another couple of laps more. But the question is, will Krog go to the end? 27.9, and wait. No, he doesn't actually go to the end. I'm surprised actually. Krog does not go to the end. I'm surprised that the team have not decided to fuel into the end. I think they could easily have done that. We have a yellow flag out for something on the track, and what has happened? And oh, that is Etienne Jones, and oh no, Etienne Jones, who goes wide, and then Gal, who is set to lap him. Unfortunately, Jones rejoined the track in a dangerous manner, and Gal unfortunately had nowhere to go, and Gal unfortunately has hit Jones out of the race. But it was a mistake from Jones in the first place that caused that, and well, I think Gal is going to be very, very annoyed, particularly as is in front of its home crowd, of course, here in Hungary. But the incident between those two will be investigated by the stewards, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if Jones does in fact get a penalty for that, as Gal now does come into the pits for a new front wing. 32 laps of fuel, and that's actually still not enough fuel to the end of the race. So Red Bull made a bit of a boo-boo here, as there is the confirmation of Jones out of the race. But I don't really know why they didn't fuel into the end here, Red Bull. That's a bit of a mistake. But that is going to cost Gal dearly, and unfortunately it's really his fault. I was looking at Mackenzie now coming through the final corner as De Rossa comes in for a pit stop for Haas. And let's see him coming in. Let's see where he comes back out onto the track for the Haas team, the American team. He has to go all the way to the last pit box, right by the end of the pits. He eventually comes in, or they put him to the end, and the answer is no, they won't. They actually do not fuel into the end. 28 laps, that's not going to be enough to get into the end. So I don't know why some of the teams haven't decided to not fuel into the end. I do think it's a bit of a mistake. But hey ho. As we're looking at Jay McKenzie on lap 39, who is going to the end, as he's fueled for 34 laps. So that will definitely get him to the end of the race. So I think he's on course to win here, because I think Roman Krog isn't going to the end. So I think Williams have really made a bit of a boo-boo of the strategy here. I think they should. I think they should have put him on the same strategy as Mackenzie. Really, he had the pace. He certainly had the pace, but they should have fueled him to the end. I think maybe could have put a battle on, but I think because of how early they pitted him and the pace that Mackenzie's had, I think the 3 strategy for Williams has not worked today, and I think that could have handed Mackenzie an easy victory here. We'll still have to wait and see. We've still got 25 laps to go, or 25 laps plus to go, as we're looking at David Greenwood right behind the Williams here. We've got another yellow flag out. That is at the... Where is that? And that's at the penultimate corner. That's Robert Hunter, who's spun off the track there. And he is unfortunately going to lose a couple of positions here and possibly the chance of getting any points, as he does... Well, does rejoin. Makes a bit of a hash of spinning back there, but does rejoin the track. He's lost a lot of time. He was running in 10th position behind Evan Byrne, so made a mistake that started early but went wide and spun the car, and that allowed I think that was Roberto Gamba actually, I think, to go past him into 10th. So Roberto Gamba could be on actually for his first points finish of the season here, and unfortunately for Hunter, the race has not turned out as well as it could have been for him, as he does eventually rejoin the track, having made a bit of a hash of it. But here is David Greenwood behind the Williams here. I believe is this Savamar car of Roman Quagg? I'm not entirely sure. As Greenwood is making a move into the first corner, is in fact Roman Quagg. Greenwood just on the inside, and Quagg is a little bit wide. Greenwood can't quite make the mistake here, so Roman Quagg down in 4th place was leading the first quarter or so of the race and was looking very comfortable, but the strategy that Williams have put him on has not worked out for him excuse me, at all, as Gal makes a move on Lopez into turn 1 and makes it up into 7th place. But I think, as I said, putting Quagg on that strategy was a big mistake. I think the 2-stop was the way to go, not 3. Because the hard tyres don't really seem to wear off that much. And don't seem to make too much of a difference for that many laps. As we're looking at Willis, who's running in a very impressive 6th position right now. As Greenwood is right behind the Williams of Quagg. He'll be pretty annoyed in that car, the fact that he was leading the race and looking pretty comfortable. But the strategy has not worked out for him, as Greenwood is now right behind him. He's surely going to make a move into the corner. Not quite. Quagg defends. He goes a little bit wide, and Greenwood has got the position and is now up into 4th place. So a good move there by David Greenwood, but Quagg seemingly struggling on this set of tyres / fuel that he's on. And let's not forget, he's still got a pit before the end, so not going well for him as it is for Roman Quagg. As we're looking at Roberto Gamba coming in for his final stop of the race, or Sauber, looking to get his first points of the season, a bit like Antonio Giovinazzi did in the last race in real life. And he comes out the pits, he comes out in 13th position, so got a few cars ahead of him. But as we're looking at Franco Lopez coming in the pits, Etienne Jones receives a 5-place grid penalty for causing the incident with Miguelos Gal, forcing Jones out the race and forcing Gal to pit again. I think that's probably fair. But anyway, as we're looking at Lopez coming out of his pit box, 8.9 second stop, and let's see where he comes out onto the track. It looks like he's going to be into P9, so he's just inside the points, comes out just ahead of the leader, Jay Mackenzie, at the moment, as Ricciardo comes in for his final stop of the race on lap 54 of the Grand Prix. Into the pits he comes. He's had a fairly good race, apart from that mistake, that one that he had through the final corner. After that contact with contact? Well, there was no contact from Gal on his own, I should say. While under pressure from Mikhail Gal. 19.9, enough to get into the end, and goes out of the pits. So where will he come out on track? Be interesting to see. He's right down P4. Will he drop down? And he further drops down to P6. As there, I think, was Willows making a move on Roman Quagg into the first corner. He does make it stick. A great recovery drive. This is from Joseph Willows, who gets past Quagg, as there's Robert Hunter and Vez Madrina, who are set to be battling here for the last point spot. As we're looking at Vez Madrina right now in P12, who's right behind that, who, wow, look at that, made a late move there on the Haas there of, I think that was Hirosima De Rosa, who seemingly slowed down suddenly coming through the corner there. Don't know if he had a problem or not, but we're on board with him at the moment. So he seemingly slowed so much into the corner that couldn't get through. And yes, he did have a problem, as you could see. So no wonder actually that very easily, and that's why he made the move, and that meant that De Ross, unfortunately, any chance of points that he was going to get from this race have unfortunately gone, and he rejoins pretty much at the back of the field, so I don't think he's going to be able to get any points unless there's a few retirements ahead of him, as we're looking at Richard right now running in P4. Willows and Greenwood are in the pits. There's going to be a pit stop battle between the two. Greenwood comes out 8.5, so he still comes out in front as Greener is in as well. So Willows could still easily catch up to Greenwood because his pace has been pretty good this race, I have to say. As Willows comes out of the pits, it looks like still in P7. Drina comes out down in P13. So he could still get the points here with Drina, because I think the Force Indians do have paces shown by Riccian this race, as Armor Carr now comes into the pits for Williams for his final stop of the race. So it's a pretty easy run for Mackenzie at the moment. I don't really see anyone toppling him unless he has any problems later on in the race, although I could have jinxed it then, but you never know. As Carr comes out of the pits, 7.4, quite quick. Will he still come out in P2? The answer is, I think he does, and yes, he does in fact come still out in P2, so been a good race by Armor Carr. There's Roman Quagg running at the moment in P3, but of course, let's not forget, he still has to pit before the end. They'll be pretty annoyed about that. So Rick Yan actually is set to take P3 off him, so he'll take a podium. Roberto Gamma right now running one place off the points to get his first points finish of the season. 14th is Evan Byrne running very well right now in 8th position. Franco Lopez right behind him though, heading towards the final couple of corners. And he's surely going to make a move, probably coming onto the pit straight, I imagine, Will Lopez. He's right behind Sauber. He's not going to make the move there, but he'll make it. And oh no, never mind, Evan Byrne actually has to pit for one more time before the end. I wasn't sure if he was able to go to the end or not, but the team did not fuel him to the end, so he still could have gone for another couple of laps, I guess. Hitting him early, so they put him on pressure tires and a little more people, he can really nail the car, just throw it about and put it through as much as he can if he wants to get some points out of this race. Evan Byrne pits, has enough fuel for the end, and the question is, where is he going to come out on track? Actually, it'd be interesting to see. He rejoins. Will he still come out in the points? He's right at the end of the pits, so he rejoins the track, and it looks like he is still going to come out into the points, so he comes out in P9. And quite a solid pace, I'd say, for Evan Byrne. Roman Quagg now does come in for his last stop of the race, so I'll be interested to see where he comes out onto the track, really, because he'll be on fresher tyres, so I suppose he could still maybe get a top 5 from this race, but as the tyres, especially the hard tyres, don't really wear out that much, so he could easily, just stay in the position he comes out in after the stop, but you never know as he comes out onto the track. And let's see, and he comes out in P7 in fact, so he comes out actually a bit lower down than I expected, so not particularly it's not particularly worked out well for him. We're looking at veteran Trina right now on the inside of the Marussia of, I think this is Matthias Berwick, and he does make the move stick and moves up into P12. Mackenzie right now so far clear of Armor Carr up front, although Carr is gaining. I don't see Carr being able to close the gap enough before the end of the race, so I think Mackenzie pretty much has it in the bag, really, I would say. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens still. Carr can easily close up, but I don't think he's going to be able to close up about 20 seconds in 9 laps. But you never know, we could see. But Mackenzie right now running very clear at the front of the field, and I believe that everyone now has made their last stop of the race. So Mackenzie currently leading the Grand Prix with Carr in second, Yan in third, Gal in fourth, Greenwood in fifth. That is the top 5 of the order. 6th place is Willow, 7th place is Quagg, 8th is Lopez, 9th is Byrne, and Hunter was in 10th, but he's pissing actually, so he didn't quite make it to the end. He still had 10 laps of fuel actually, so he could have tried to make it to the end there, Hunter, but clearly they didn't think he could make it to the end, so oh dear, that's not worked out very well for Hunter at all. So he has one more time, so he'll be pretty annoyed about that, but I think he could easily still get to the end there, but sure, there's one P12 because this is actually as well. Somehow, for some reason, he's still got 9 laps of fuel. He could easily have made it to the end, but for some reason, the teams don't think the way he's got tyre life, I guess. He comes in, he had a touch more fuel than he had before. I don't even know what the point of that was. But, no idea. But anyway, Cal comes out of the pits, and he's going to come out in P7. So he comes out P7, and unfortunately felt much better. He could have easily gone to the end. I've no idea why the teams decided not to didn't decide to go to the end, to be honest. I'm not sure, but anyways, looking at Evan Byrne right now, and Evan Byrne has got a problem. Evan Byrne's engine is blown, and Evan Byrne, unfortunately, is going to score no points for today. He's having a fairly encouraging race, but he is going to get absolutely nothing. He's running in P9 and set to take a decent points finish, but he, unfortunately, is going to get nothing from this race. Unlucky for the Irish driver. And so he is out the Grand Prix. His luck has not been particularly great this season either, to be honest. There's been a few drivers who've not had very good luck at all, really. And unfortunately, Evan Byrne is one of them. And he is out of the race. And it was in fact Warbeat that caused him to retire from this race. So unfortunate there. So there we go. That is his race done. And his car getting pushed away behind the barrier there, as that means Roberto Gamba is actually up to 9th. So Roberto Gamba is up to 9th and sets his first point finish of the season. He's promoted Arena into the points as well for Force India. So he managed to recover and get something, as there was the failure that caused him to retire coming through the corners there. And actually, I think he still had the problem for quite a bit of the lap bit, and only I think. And only actually on the second lap as he came round. So he went around a whole lap with the car having problems, and then eventually the engine actually decided to blow, and that was the end of his race. So there we go. But anyway, we are now on to the last lap of the race, and here is your race leader, Jay McKenzie, who right now is running in P1 with Armor Car in second. But McKenzie's had a very comfortable lead ever since he first stopped, really. I mean, his strategy worked out very well indeed. Unfortunately for Williams, or particularly for Roman Quark, it didn't work out very well for him at all. The 3-stop was not the way to go, because the hard tyres, these tyres don't wear off very much. So the 2-stop, unfortunately for him, it's not worked out very well. But for McKenzie, certainly take advantage of this, and with the fact, obviously, with Will Nella and Florian Volker both retiring from this race, meaning that McKenzie, with this win, will bring himself back into title contention. People will question, now he's the fastest lap of the race there, people were questioning if McKenzie in the title race after the next couple of races, but with Wilner and Florian Volker retiring from this race, McKenzie has taken advantage, and he wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well done to him. He comes across the line 1 hour 36 minutes. That race was a great race there by Jay McKenzie. Franco Lopez takes 8th position. Hiroshima DeRosa comes across the line in 12th. Matthias Terwick in 13th. Armor Car takes another great podium for Williams. He comes across the line in 2nd. Gamba, yet again, sadly, another race to get for him. He comes across the line in the 14th position. And now we wait for the rest of the cars. And Rick Yan is set to take a very impressive P3 for Force India. It wasn't an absolutely perfect race for him, but he still took advantage nonetheless. His pace was still pretty good for Force India. He comes around the final corner, and he takes P3, so he'll be tough with that, I would imagine. David Greenwood, also a very good race from him. He'll take P4 as he comes across the line, and indeed he does. As well as a great recovery from him, he takes P5. Roman Quark, he'll be bitterly disappointed. He was leading at the start of this race, and unfortunately he's only going to finish 6th and way off the lead as well. Didn't work out for him at all, sadly. He comes across the line in P6. Miklos Gal, sadly didn't work out for him as well. He comes across the line in P7. And Roberto Gamba is set to come up around the final corner. Roberto Gamba takes his first points finish of the season, meaning that every driver this year has now scored a point. So well done to him. And Veteran Jr. recovers 2 P10 in the end. Hunter just missing out in P11 with Miklos, the fastest lap of the race, 1:20.1. But here are your full race results, with Jay McKenzie winning, with Armor Car in 2nd, Rick Yan in 3rd, David Greenwood in 4th, Joseph Willis 5th, Roman Quark 6th, Miklos Gal in 7th, Franco Lopez 8th, Roberto Gamba 9th, and Veteran Jr. complete the points in 10th, Hunter in 11th position. As we're now going to take a look at the rest of the order. In 12th place is Matthias Terwick, who moved ahead of DeRosa after his 5-second time bound. 13th place was Russell, 4th place was Frank Gamba, 50th place was Evan Byrne, Edson Jones, George Roke, Bartius Cross, Robert Inescu, Oliver Glazebrook, Warnella, Alfa retiring from the Grand Prix is now set to take a look at the drivers and constructor standings from the race. So Rocker still leading, Henry Weller in second, Jamie Kenzie moving close to mid-third, Joseph Willers still in fourth, a bit off, Arvacar moves above, he has sixth, Rickian moves ahead of Quag into seventh, Gal stays in ninth, David Grood in 10th, Franco Lopez after finishing 8th moves up to 11th position. We take a look at the Vitrina 13th places, Hunter 14th, 15th, Berwick 16th, Blazer 17th, De Rossa, Jones, Roke, Franco Gamma, Roberto Gamma taking his first points finish this season, 9th moving up above, Mr. Clark is last with just a single point. So now we're going to take a look finally at the constructor standings from the Hungarian Grand Prix. So Mercedes still lead Ferrari by just 13 points, Williams move ahead of Red Bull into third, Force India still in fifth, Lotus in 6th, McLaren in 7th, Taurus in 8th, Marussia in 9th, Sauber in 10th, just I think a few points behind Marussia, and has currently last in the 11th position. So there we go, that has been the Hungarian Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed, guys. That was a pretty good race, I'd have to say. Don't forget to, as usual, guys, hope you're of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next round, the Belgian Grand Prix at the infamous Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you there.